Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simon Friends podcast. I am Simon Short. Joining me this week is Ben Parker. Ben, welcome in, man. How you doing?
I am doing so good, man. The draft is finally here. I'm really, really looking forward to it. But we still have one more show to do before it gets here.
One more show to do, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the fifth annual over under first round preview show with Ben Parker. If you're here on the Simon and Friends podcast, thank you so much. Hopefully, this isn't the first time you've heard it, but hey, if it is, well, welcome in, man. You can go back and check the archives. I say I'm going to do this every year, Ben. I'll never
Yeah.
do it, but I should go back through and see, check our numbers, check our stats from the previous four iterations of this pod. But we're here tonight to check back in, see how we're doing. And then if you're here on Box Score Network YouTube, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you have enjoyed all of our content here on Box Score Network. This is coming out Thursday. We're going to try to keep this tight for everybody so you can watch, listen, learn, take your last few notes, make your last few guesses before tonight's draft kicks off. But hopefully, if you have a little bit more time or you want to squeeze in some second round thoughts or some team draft big picture thoughts or positional draft big picture thoughts, go back through the archives here on Box Score Network because we have all the draft content you could have needed for this draft season.
Yeah.
And we're not done yet. Ben and I are going to hop back on tonight, Thursday night, for Friday morning and react to round one of the draft. And then plenty of our shows will have reactions and recaps, whether they're here on Box Score or they're on the individual pods, individual show runs. So just go check those out as well. Stay with us all draft season and post draft season because we are here for you. So the name of the game, Ben, it's very simple. It's actually a really messy name, but it makes it very clear what we're here to do tonight. The 2026 NFL Draft First Round Over Under Preview Show. We're just going to go through all the positions, and I have set a line for Ben, and we're going to decide, is this going to go over? Is this going to go under? How many guys are taken in the first round? And we'll talk about who our locks are. We'll talk about some of the guys on the bubble, some ranges those guys can get into as well, so you know what to expect. Ben, anything for you on this subject before we get started?
The only thing I'll say is there's basically 11 positions here. I found eight of them to be fairly easy for me to decide on. Three of them were really hard. So we'll get into that later, but that's kind of where I came in at.
And we'll highlight like which players that could be okay. Are they a tackle? Or are they a guard? Are they an edge? Are they a linebacker? Are they a corner? Are they a safety? We'll highlight where those players landed in the buckets for us. It'll be pretty easy once we get there. But let's start off hot at quarterback, Ben. I have set this line at 1.5. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about Ty Simpson in the last few months, but he is obviously the second best quarterback in this draft. He's a guy that I think is certainly of the quarterbacking ability to be the case of the Jackson Dart, like trade back up into the first round four. I just don't think there's a team this year that should be doing that. I don't see that kind of intersection of a team and a player to do that this year with Simpson and with those teams that could be doing that. But I've set this line at 1.5. I'm saying one. I say no Ty Simpson, and I'm locking in Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, going to be the first overall pick to the Raiders. What did you have for QB 1.5?
I came in the same way, and this was one of the three really hard choices for me. It was really hard to try to figure out is a team, one of really two or three teams, right? There's not many, two or three teams. Is there a team that's really going to want him bad enough to trade back into the first round? I ultimately decided no, but boy, that's tough. Man, that's like a 51-49 split. So I've got the under. I have one quarterback going, Mendoza as the lock.
That's what I had as well. So yeah, it just if you want to start wondering about when this is going to happen, when this could happen, I'd start being on watch around pick number 23 with the Eagles. Now,
Yeah,
if the offensive
yeah.
linemen go early or the Cardinals or Jets just want to send something stupid to Philadelphia, like first round pick next year, second round pick next year, stupid. And move back to 33, 34 plus get a day two pick this year. I think the Eagles at 23 would be the earliest team I could see. Um, Seattle, I think at 32 would be the latest team. You know, they only have four picks, and the Cardinals could just hop two picks, hop over the Jets, right, to try to get Ty Simpson at 32. And then I think the Bills are the sweet spot at 26 because they don't have a second rounder from the DJ Moore trade. And their needs are edge, wide receiver. and both of those positions extend a little bit right into the 30s into the second round.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about some of those players in a little bit. So I think those would be kind of that's the range 23 to 32. Those are the teams I think would start thinking about trading back. I think it'd be for the Jets. I think it'd be for the Cardinals. I don't think the Browns would quite get into this camp trying to jump up and trade up for Ty Simpson. Um, but ultimately, I think this will just end up in a game of chicken between the Jets and the Cardinals. Are you going to trade? Are you going to trade? And then the Cardinals say, all right, you going to take him with the first pick? We'll take him at 34. You want to take him at 44? Or are you going to take him at 33? That's what I think is going to end up happening. And ultimately, I'm going to say I think he ends up with the Cardinals at 34.
It's a great point. The Jets have every reason not to do it at all since they are loaded for next year's draft that looks like it might be better at quarterback. The Cardinals have every reason to draft him, but man, when you trade up for him, it's a pretty big commitment, right? All of a sudden, first round pick, lots of attention, as opposed to, yeah, we just got this guy in the second round because he was sitting there. It really does start to be more of a commitment, and I'm not sure that they love him enough to do that. So that's why I went with the under there.
All right, Ben, next up, running backs. I also set this at 1.5. This was an easy lock Jeremiah Love for me.
Me as well. I didn't even have anybody on the bubble here for running back. It's not that I don't think there's some good running backs that could hit second round at some point, maybe. I just don't have anybody that's even close for first after you get past Jeremiah Love.
If you were still somebody that was holding up the ever so slightest amount of hope for the Seahawks taking Jadarian Price at pick 32, you're literally banking on the 32nd pick. Um, John Schneider has come out and said that, like, yes, he's trying to trade out of 32. He would love to trade out of 32. So you don't not only like the likelihood that they're still there at 32, right, is lower, but you don't actively say you want to trade out of 32, which is the most like forward-thinking move you could make, and then take a running back at that spot. You just don't do it. So it's an easy under. You got one running back going. Lock Jeremiah Love. Wide receiver. I set this at 5.5, Ben. Now, if you would have asked us back in October when we did the wide receiver, running back, tight end show, we probably would have said this is light. But we did this in our mock just the other night. Box Score
Mm.
Network 4.0 2 round mock. Wide receivers fell. It has been feeling like wide receivers are going to fall. My locks are Carnell Tate, Makai Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kevin Concepcion. And those are the five that I think get in. I think Denzel Boston ends up in the second round. And then after that, it's, Brazel and Bell and Dribbling and all those guys. I think all those guys are going to end up being day two picks. What did you have here for wide receiver?
I came in under as well. I'll talk through my reason in a second. It is a heck of a group of wide receivers this year. It's a really good, deep group. You can almost get anything you want in, almost any of the first three rounds, really. So if you've got a certain flavor or need, you can get it. But that also, I think, is going to affect how they go in the first round here. You talked about that being in our mock. I was already feeling that heading into the, even a month ago, I was starting to feel that here. I actually only have three locks as far as specific names
Hmm.
go. Okay, that's Tate, Tyson, Lemon.
Yep.
Now I'm fairly comfortable saying we're going to get to four or five wide receivers. I'm just not comfortable that they're absolute locks. So it's Concepcion, Boston, Brazel, Cooper, those being the four bubble guys for me. Man, the more mocks I did, and we've done a bunch, I just hardly ever myself got the six wide receivers in the first round. So I'm sitting at four, probably five wide receivers. I think I'll settle in at five. I just hardly ever got the six.
Yeah, I guess I should, differentiate probably the term lock, right? Like Tate, Lemon, Tyson are locks. And then if I'm saying five, it's probably two of Boston, Cooper, Concepcion, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it wouldn't shock me
yes,
if Boston went and Concepcion didn't. Because, you look at Omar Cooper, like was in an insanely good offense, like is really good at everything, not great at anything. Concepcion has the injury, right? He had the knee scope and then the drop situation
yeah,
people are worried about. And then Boston, like not a great separator, doesn't run a 40 at any workouts. Um, so there's questions about all of them. I feel pretty safe in saying two of those three guys make it in. I wouldn't feel very secure about saying three of them, which hence the under 5.5. And I
yeah,
definitely don't think a fourth one, right? If you add in a Brazel Bell or one of those guys. Um,
yeah.
in terms of the runs, in terms of the spots, I wanted to leave a little bit of room because I do think I think there's possibility that there's a world where these guys actually end up going early. Like if we looked up and um, those three guys all go top 10, that wouldn't necessarily shock me either, right?
Right.
If you're talking about the Titans at 4, and then you get to the Giants at 5, Commanders at 7, I mean, Browns at 6, like Saints at 8. I know from a value board standpoint, but we had this conversation last week. You wouldn't love it, but like all those teams could use receivers. Um, and then you look at the Dolphins at 11, Rams at 13, Ravens 14, Jets 16, Panthers 19, Steelers 21, Eagles 23, Browns 24, Bills 26, 49ers 27, Patriots 31. Those could all be wide receiver teams too. So I think there's a world for it. But then when you look at the players, Tate is a top 10 guy. Lemon, we love at 13 to the Rams. Tyson could go 9 to the Chiefs, but he could also go 14 or 16 to the Ravens or Jets. But I think 16 would be his floor. So if we're saying those are the best three players, and the range of that is somewhere in the like 6 to 16 range, those guys are going to go, then you're shrinking where these other guys could go, right? So now we're really talking about like the Panthers at 19 being the earliest one of these other guys go. So if Concepcion and Cooper more kind of live in that 19 to 31 range, and maybe so does Boston, um, it just shrinks everything down. I'm going with 5 for them. But over here on my piece of paper, we'll lock in Tate, Tyson, and Lemon, and we'll go from there. We'll revisit that. Tight end, I said at 1.5, and I went with 1 and Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And to me, there's a whole cluster of tight ends. I'm not even totally sure who people think tight end two really is when it comes to NFL personnel. We'll just see. I think there's a whole cluster of tight ends you can get in the second round and third round as well. After that, I think it dries up for me personally. But I've only got one guy in the first round. I'm not even totally convinced that everybody in the NFL thinks he's a first round lock, but I do figure enough people like him, I would be shocked if he slid out of the first round.
I've gone back and forth with Sadiq through this whole process, and but never in the sense of like not knowing who or what he is or how good he, it'll just be about what do teams value. And the
Right.
thing that really sold it for me, actually, for NFL Mocks, the site I write for now, when I went to write my proposal for them, and I was like, here's why Sadiq won't work. He's under 6'4". He's under 250 pounds. He barely lined up in line in college, even though he is a pretty good blocker. So he's a guy without a position. But then Brock Bowers, that all that fits Brock Bowers, all that fit Dalton Kincaid, all that fit Trey McBride. So you've got
Yeah.
the best two tight ends in the NFL, and all three and two of those three guys were first round picks. So this guy's gonna go first round. The talent's too tantalizing. I hope it's to the right team because if it is, he could be awesome. Or he
Yes.
could go somewhere and they're just not gonna know how to use him and it's gonna be awkward. But anyways, Kenyon Sadiq, we're bringing in, we're hitting the one. No Claire, no Stour sneaking to the first round of this draft. Offensive tackle. I set this at 6.5, Ben, and it will not shock you to hear I'm taking the over. And I'm just logging all those guys in. I didn't think twice about it. Maui Noah, Fano, Freeling, Lomu, Proctor, Ian Achor, and Blake Miller. I think all 7 of those guys get into the first round. Um, yeah, what say you?
I took the under, but man, this was so tough. This was one of
Who'd
the
you leave
three
off?
tough positions. I left off Ian Nachor is the one I left off.
Okay.
So I Malinoa lock, Fano lock, Lomu lock, Proctor fairly a lock, Freeling a lock. And even though my feelings on Miller are that he probably shouldn't be a first rounder, it feels like there has consistently now for a long period of time been enough people who like Miller that I think him and position that's probably a lock as well. So those were my 6 locks. Ian Nachor, man, I like him, but it does feel like there's some work to do there,
Yeah.
and that's where when I was weighing other positions like defensive tackle or CB, it started to feel like that might be the guy who slipped out. So I held it to 6 tackles, and that's the one I dropped out. But that was tough. One of the 3 tough positions for me.
Yeah, and it's hard. I think Ian Achor is a guy that name didn't really get brought up super a lot until the Senior Bowl. Like I think he was always kind of on the list. I was like, what I said Blake Miller was last year, just like the classic day 2 tackle that people kind of write in, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because Caleb Tiernan, I think, is technically that guy now, but he's at the very end of like the second round, and normally these
Hmm.
guys are like in the 40s or 50s on mocks and boards and stuff. but I think he had a Senior Bowl that where he really stood out, and the story's awesome. Just started playing football a couple years ago. Um, Very athletic, very smooth. But yeah, if he's going to be like a good part of your offense, a good offensive line right now, that's going to take some serious work. And I think more teams are going to view him as a little more of a project than we are on the outside, where we just get to look at the traits and think about the
Yeah.
potential, how young he is, how little he's played. And there are going to be teams that are like, we might have to wait on that. And remember, there's one fewer team with an offensive line mastermind teaching guru in Jeff Stoutland not being with Philly anymore. So
Yeah.
are they going to be this slam dunk team continuing forward of like draft and develop these guys and they're going to be all pros? Like, we don't know. We don't know. So we'll have to see what happens. Um, Okay, we're possibly leaving Iheanacho. So, what do you think if he's on the bubble? What do you think his range is, though? How high do you think he could go, and then how low do you think he could realistically fall in the second round?
I could see him going as high as 25. Like that
Right.
wouldn't shock me at all.
Hmm.
Man, a team likes him, they throw him in, you know?
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me. I personally would be a little surprised if he drops farther than 40. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of those first, what, five, no, first eight picks of the second
Yeah.
round. That would shock me. So 25 to 40 is kind of like my wide range. My thin range would be kind of in the 28 to 34 bracket. So,
Okay. I had the Raiders in our mock the other night at 36, and they would love a right tackle. I had them moving
right.
up to get a right tackle in that mock. So I think if he's there, that would, to me, that feels like that could be his floor. Um, But yeah, that range makes sense as well. I wouldn't want to spend a top 20 pick on him because that means like he's slam dunk ready to go. If you're a team that could wait a little bit, like the Eagles at 23, great. But I think that makes sense. All right, interior offensive line. I set this at 1.5. I think this is our most interesting 1.5 actually. Um, Obviously, but I did go under. I went with one, and I went with Ione, of course. Ben, where did you go with the interior offensive lineman?
So I took the under on this as well, and you've done a great job setting the numbers here. But I took the under. I've got one guy, Vega Iwane. I think by now I've crawled him up to 19th or 20th on my big board, right?
Yep.
Took me a while to get there, but that's where I finally gotten, even one concern notwithstanding. Bazantis was the bubble guy for me. I just didn't, and it wouldn't surprise me if he showed up in the first round, but I just didn't consistently see here watch enough myself to convince myself that it's likely he ends up in the first round. I think he ends up somewhere in the 40 to 45 range, probably. So I kept Bizantis out of the first round.
My bubble guy, I would say I'm closer on Pregnon than Bezantis being that guy. The other, I mean, there's a lot of bubble names though, and this is the
Yeah.
real case for it.
Yep.
Pregnon, Bezantis, Rutledge, and Dunker. Now, I didn't get to watch Dunker. Um, Bezantis is a guy that feels like needs to get a little bit stronger and clean some things up a little. Like doesn't have. I like his hand use, but I don't think it's super consistent. Rutledge is a guy that you watch him, and this is so messed up. Um, it's on football Twitter. I have to be able to say it. The video of the young child football player who was blind. And he says, "I just love football. I love to hit," and and then it's him going out there and blocking with what the F is going on? Screamo music behind. Like that's kind of what Keelan Rutledge is doing out there, man. And like
Yeah.
and like you can tell he's athletic. Um,
Right.
but he's so explosive off the line, but sometimes it's kind of like he just gets in there and then there's like not quite anybody there. Now but he always redirects. He's on balance usually, but sometimes he's on the ground because of I think Pregnon is just a very clear like when the Bills took Osiris Torrance. And even though I think they ended up getting him in the second round, I remember mocking him in the first round to because it was like, if you just need one spot,
Hmm.
this guy's just gonna come in and he's just gonna take whoever you put in front of him and he's just gonna push them out of the way. Like
Right.
he's not very flashy, but he's just gonna push people out of the way, which is the whole point. Um, and I went through the teams. So let's say Iwane goes on the top 20. The Steelers at 21, the Chargers at 22, the Bills at 26, the Niners at 27, the Patriots at 31 could all look at a left guard right now. If the Patriots, they spent money on Elijah Vera Tucker, so probably not. But if they wanted to double up on the whole injury thing for AVT, those are the teams that could go left guard. And Pregnon and Basantis are left guards. They did that for
Yeah.
majority of their time in college. Um, but then if you want to flip over to right guard teams, I'd say the Eagles and the Seahawks at 23 and 32, they're more right guard teams. So that would be more Rutledge and Dunker. So again, that leans me more towards the left side guys and Pregnon and Bizantis. But ultimately, I say no as well. Go with Ioane. Teams are going to get some good cards in the second round. I can't wait for. I'm already excited for Friday night. We haven't even had Thursday night yet, and I'm like, I can't wait for Friday night to see who takes these guards and just pencil them into those starting lineups because I'm going to do that probably with all four of those guys.
It's so weird. We have people plotting, and this is every draft for decades now. We have people plotting to get guys that they're salivating over, but in the second round, right? Not the first. It's like, well, he doesn't have this or that, makes him first round worthy. But yeah, we're going to be plotting to get that guy right there at pick 43, right? I mean, you know, it's a little odd, but it happens every year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's flip over to the defense. Well, actually, let's recap the offense real quick. So we both went under on interior offensive line. We both say one. I went over, and that was 1.5, the over under. Over under on tackles was 6.5. I went over with 7. You went under with 6, leaving off Iheanacho. 1.5 for tight end. We both went under with Sadiq. Running back, I'll take that easy 1.5 under 1. Jeremiah Love. Quarterback 1.5 under 1. Fernando Mendoza. Wide receiver 5.5. We both went under. I think it'll be 5. You were in the 4 or 5 range.
Yeah,
So we'll see how we ultimately end up mapping that out a little bit later. But so far we're 5 and under. We're split on tackle, so we're under on offense overall, which isn't
right.
too surprising. We'll get to edges in a minute where there's a big group there. But let's start with defensive tackles. I set the defensive tackle over under at 1.5. And I ultimately went over. I ultimately took the 2. I think Peter Woods and Caden McDonald get into the first round of the draft. You could also look at guys like Caleb Banks. You could look at Kristen Miller. But I think the 2 guys that are generally viewed at the top because of the Banks injury concerns ultimately get in. Talent wins out. And then the run defense of McDonald specifically is going to be something that entices teams. What did you end up going with here at defensive tackle?
Yeah, exactly same as you. This was one of my three hardest positions. This was really hard for me here at defensive tackle. I'm like, dang it, is the second one going to get in? Is there a chance none of them get in? There's even a chance
Yep.
no defensive tackles go in the first round. But I just didn't see it that way. The more we did the drafts here, it feels like two get in. So I did the same as you. I've got Peter Woods getting in. I believe that's probably going to end up being best player available for somebody. They're
Hmm.
just I don't feel like he's sitting there at 15 or 18 for most people, but boy, it's best player available for somebody before he gets out of the first round. And then Caden McDonald, I actually don't have a first round grade on McDonald. I think most drafts he wouldn't be a first round pick, but this draft I think he's going to get in. And I specifically think that because there are teams in the back half of the first round who could use a big defensive tackle who could stop the run. It's just a specific need field is what it really is. Man, they actually took him off. Ohio State took him off the field for passing plays because he couldn't generate too much pressure. He just really they took him off the field most of the time. But boy, he feels a need, and you can see two or
Hmm.
three teams just sitting right there taking him and I got McDonald in and the Caleb Banks thing, the injury, the medical stuff, the injury stuff's gonna wipe him completely out of probably the first 2 rounds more than
Hmm.
likely.
Hmm.
Um and then Kristen Miller, who I do like, I just don't have anywhere near the first round myself. So that's
Yeah.
came in the same as you.
There's always one just like no like run stuff and nose tackle that gets in. Last year it was Tyleik
Hmm.
Williams, was from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Whenever Mozzie Smith was when and like granted these things haven't worked out, right? Like Mozzie Smith it just never clicked with Dallas. They kept changing what
Nope.
they wanted him to be. He ends up now he's in the Jet with the Jets. I think even Tyleik Williams hasn't had the like didn't have a great start in Detroit. Um but like teams value this type of player, right?
Hmm.
Okay, who's going to come in and just stop the run? And when you're the Bears and you're the worst run defense in the league, but you're trying to win a Super Bowl, if you're sitting there at 25 and you're like, I don't see an edge rusher I like, but we could fix the run defense right now,
Yep.
right? If you're telling me with one pick we can fix our run defense potentially, that's worth the swing at 25. Um, Peter Woods, yeah, I think once you get into 15 with the Bucks, once you get to 18 with the Vikings, 19 with the Panthers, I think we're an open season for him at that point. And then McDonald's going to be a little bit later, but the Chargers, Not the Browns, Chargers, the Bears, the Bills, the Niners, the Texans, that,
Hmm.
that range, which was 20. I mean, shoot, could the Cowboys even, right? 20, so 20 in the 20s, 20 to 28, 20, 29. I think that makes sense. All right, edge rusher. Here's the big one.
Here's the big one.
7.5. This is the biggest line I set. I ultimately went under, and I went with 7.
Okay.
And those guys are Arvell Reese, who we're counting as an edge, David Bailey, Ruben Bain, Keldrick Falk, Akeem Mesidor, TJ Parker. And then you're banking on one of, to even get to 7, I'm banking on one of Zion Young, Gabe Backus, Cassius Howell, Malachi Lawrence, R. Mason Thomas getting in. I I like Malachi Lawrence the best. I think he should end up being a first rounder. My prediction would be more that like Zion Young gets in. I just mentioned run defense. Um, a team at down there in the 20s who need the Chiefs need an edge rusher, need him to at least be able to stop the run. If he's going to play in the playoffs for us, and then hopefully he gets some pass rush juice. So Zion Young was who I went with as a 7. But if I'm going to get above that 7.5, now I have to bank on 2 of those guys getting in, right? Um, so that was ultimately what I went with. I probably came to 6 locks, but I think I can get to a seventh, but either way I'm gonna get to an under of 7.5. So what did you do here, Ben?
Yeah, I'm awfully close to you. I took the under as well. As far as specific names, I got 5 locks, probably six generic guys going, whoever that sixth guy ends up being. But I'm with you. I really couldn't get it past 7, man. We've done so many mocks, just tons and tons of mocks. If again, if we had done this back during October, the number probably would have been higher, honestly. But then, I just don't see it. So Reese, Bailey, Bain, lock, lock, lock. Falk, I think, is a lock. Mesidor, man, I'm just seeing too much of people that like him
Hmm.
that he's probably in. So that's for me the 5 specific locks. And then, man, between TJ Parker and Zion Young, from everything I'm hearing, I figure one of those gets in, but I don't
Yeah.
really figure both of them get in. So I was
Hmm.
at 6 or 7. I think there's a chance even though it's only 6. So I
Yeah.
logic was same as you.
Yeah, back in October, I remember like people were saying like Howell's a lock, or Mason
Mhm.
Thomas could get in.
Yeah,
Um, those guys feel way more round 2 guys to me, especially now. Um, I like Malachi Lawrence, man, but not a run defender. So like, is a team trying to win the playoffs going to take him, knowing that he's only a designated pass rusher? Maybe, maybe.
maybe.
Um, so we'll see. We'll get into some fun exercise with the edge rushers, and then yeah, Parker and Young are kind of like of the same build right now, right? Like 250 plus. I think Young is too. He at least plays like he's over 250. Um, run defender, strong, good long arms, like can hold an edge, can get to the quarterback a little bit, right? So that's kind of that when when you're getting to that last number, that sixth guy, almost seventh guy, that's the model that you're looking for.
Hmm.
All right, let's see. Let's move on here. Linebacker, 1.5. And Arvo Reese is not a part of this, so this is banking on a Jacob Rodriguez, a CJ Allen, Anthony Hill Jr., one of those guys sneaking in the first round. But I ultimately went under, and I went 1, Sonny Styles.
I did the same thing. Sonny Styles is the lock. I took the under here. My feeling is, once again, there's a lot of people that love Jacob Rodriguez. I mean, love
Hmm.
him, but I just don't see him being a first round guy. That would really surprise me. I feel like there's people that are plotting to get him somewhere in the second round. It's just a matter of who's going to get the grabbies first on him. Anthony Hill, back in September, October, he would have been a first round lock. That has long since passed. He's a
Hmm.
second round guy, even though I really do like him.
Yep.
CJ Allen was the closest bubble guy for me here. I do feel
Hmm.
like there is a real chance here that he slides into the last 4 or 5 picks of that first round. There are
Yeah.
teams that could use him that he would fit. So that one's really tough right there. But ultimately, I figured they go with other positions, and I've got the under at 1 here.
Yeah, I think if you look at like the Bills could have questionable linebacker play moving forward a little bit at 26. Um, you can never count out D'Amico in a linebacker. Just don't do it. So 28 Texans. I think he's got to be in the sights at that point. The Chiefs are probably fine. The Dolphins are probably fine with how many needs they have, and they have an all-pro linebacker. You'd think maybe, it wouldn't hurt to get another one or another good linebacker at least. But like I could see Vrabel taking CJ Allen right at 31. You can
Yeah,
like that makes a lot
right.
of sense. Um, Seahawks, I don't think will ultimately be there doing that, but that wouldn't necessarily shock me either. So there's certainly a couple teams down there. Um, could the Brown? I mean, the Browns at 24 probably wouldn't do another one after their defensive rookie of the year last year. But Patriots at 31. That's an interesting one. Let's keep that in mind. All right, corner. This one, Ben, when I said it, and obviously I went down this order, so I was like, I'm kind of running out of numbers to be honest with you. So maybe this was an easy over for you. But I'm starting to have a lot of questions. So I set this at 3.5,
Yeah.
and I ended up going under. I think Delane is my only lock. And listen,
Okay.
I didn't even think about this, and you're chuckling. Maybe this is just my anti-cornerback bias creeping back around, which I abandoned back in January when we finally did the defensive backs. But um, Delane is my only lock that I'm willing to put on, and he's going to go top 12. Right. So if you just look at the teams after that, right, the Jets at 16, the Ravens at 14, the Vikings at 18. Um, the Cowboys at 20 if they don't go corner at 12. The Panthers at 19. The Bears at 25. The Niners at 27. The Texans at 20. Like, there's a lot of teams that could look at corner. But this is, again, that intersection of team and player. And the only other guy other than Delane that I have as like a lock round one talent and profile is Avion Terrell. Now, Avion Terrell, though, is smaller and he ran a 4.64 40 at his pro day or his workout.
Yeah.
Now, we said this in the mock. Austin ended up taking him at 22. I love Avion Terrell. And we said we think that 4.64 is just he's coming back from the injury, so nobody should freak out. But we know a handful of teams saw the number and just crossed him off, right? We know they did.
Yeah.
And then a handful of teams saw the number, were like, oh, it's because of an injury, but crossed him off for the injury. We know a handful of teams have him crossed off because he's smaller and he's never really been a nickel, so they crossed him off. A handful of teams cross him off for the first round because they're like, we see him as a nickel and we don't take a nickel in the first round. We cross him
Hmm.
off. So
Yeah.
there's just enough question marks building that I'm like, okay, he's not a lock to go round one anymore. And then on top of that, if for me, Colton Hood and Jamal McCoy as profiles, and I've said all I need to say about Jamal McCoy, I don't need to do the whole thing again. But you add on top of that, the injury concerns are back up with him. Okay, there's questions about him. Um, I ultimately went with three, and I ultimately think someone will swing on McCoy, and Hood will kind of just emerge as like, oh man, is he actually going to be the second corner taken because of all these injuries?
Yeah.
Um, and then there's Chris Johnson lurking. So there's five names here that I think are around, and I mentioned all the teams that could go corner. Wouldn't shock me if all five went. But all of these guys just have enough questions, right? Hood never stuck in one place for a long time and has always kind of been viewed as this round two guy only getting pushed up because of all these concerns. McCoy, injuries and style of play for me. Avion Terrell, all the stuff I listed. Chris Johnson, size and competition level. Um, Delane's the only lock for me. So I went under the 3.5. What did you do?
I took the over on this one. So you're right about all the question marks. I'll start with that. You're also right about McCoy's medical concerns, and you're also right about a lot of these guys really being second round CBs. I mean, in almost any draft, that's what that whole second group is. Here's why I went different with the over. Delane, of course, we're totally agreed there is a lock. I left McCoy as a lock for two reasons. Number one, the med concerns did not seem to be anywhere near as severe as say Caleb Banks's med concerns.
Yep.
Seemed like a lot. It's just a matter of when, not if, he'll be
Mm,
healthy and ready to go. So that was one thing. Also, I figured the NFL teams are going to get a great look at McCoy and at least have answers about when they think he'll be ready to go. So I figure again that's just more recovery time, not recurring injury type things, although I could be wrong on that too. So I left, and besides the McCoy talent that we've seen on the field was consistent enough. I figure by somewhere in the 20s, somebody's going to grab him and just say the heck with it. He'll be ready when it's ready. So that I left McCoy as the lock. Hood, Cisse, Terrell, Chris Johnson. Those four. Those are all four bubble guys. But I figure two of them get in, And the biggest reason is it doesn't feel like there's as much depth there as there is at the wide receiver spot. So, me personally, because it looks like there's 10 to 12 wide receivers scattered all through the first three rounds of this draft, it feels like the guys I can collect at the early third round aren't much worse or no worse than the guys I could collect in the second round at wide receiver. So it pulls down that second group of wide receivers. I don't see as many cornerbacks floating around in the third round of this draft that I'm happy with, working in as starters. So I figure that's going to drive their value up a little bit. And that's going to push them, at least a couple of them, into the late first round, was the way I counted that. So that's how I got to four. I could even see five, but I kind of doubt that. So I came in at four, which would be an over.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, and there's a lot of names. See, let me look at corners real quick. Um, because obviously when you look at some other day two guys in terms of like pushing the value of this second tier up, D'Angelo Pons is there. Davison Igbeson, from Ohio State. He's a nice player. Um, and then you're looking at guys like in the hunt, kind of in the hundreds. Malik Muhammad, Devin Moore, Dalen Everett, Will Lee. And then, Chandler Rivers as a slot, Zakario Davis as a big outside guy, Psylocke, the other Washington guy, and then whatever you think about the nickel guys like Stukes and the guy from Miami, Keontae Scott.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of guys that also have questions and then also feel like they have ceilings, right? Like you're drafting a lot of those guys that I'm talking about for like depth and development
Yeah.
more than like filling a role right now necessarily. Like when I was watching Davison, one of my like number one things was I was like, he's gonna be a good gunner like right now. Like someone's gonna take him in like the fourth round, and he might be like a pro. Not they don't have all these enough spots for all these guys, but he might be like a
Right.
Pro Bowl caliber gunner right away. Like physical, like good long speed, like sticks his face and all that stuff. And like when that's like cornerback seven that you're talking about, you're but like Malik Muhammad, long arms, right?
Hmm.
Takario Davis, huge and fast. Like those are guys that are super interesting.
Yes.
So that's where you're talking about like development guys. Um, but yeah, I hear you. I'm with you there. And you're probably right on McCoy. Like it's going to be too hard to pass upon him unless the medicals are even worse than we even know, and those things have been up and down.
And they could
For
be.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
we
right.
don't we don't know what McCoy's meds are, so stay tuned on that.
All right, final position here, safety. I said at 2.5. So essentially, there's only three names to really think about here. Do all three get in? I ultimately said yes. I went with the over. I took all three. Downs, Thieneman, McNeil, Warren. I think all get into the first round.
I took all three as well, so I took the over. I was fairly comfortable doing that. It came down to talent for me. So Downs is the lock. Dylan Thineman is like a 90% lock with his free safety ability. So it really came down to Emmanuel McNeil Warren with that small school stuff keep him out. But I tell you, man, his aggressiveness, the way he hits, the way he moves around in the box, and the way he can steal center field too.
Yep.
I feel like come the last 8 to 10 picks, honestly, maybe even sooner than that. I feel like teams are going to have a hard time passing him up when they're looking at a defensive tackle or, a linebacker or, wide receiver five. I feel like they're going to have a hard time passing him up. Matter of fact, I think there's some teams that have their eye on him late first round, maybe not late first round, but those last 10 picks of the first round, I feel like there's teams that actually actively want him. So I was fairly comfortable putting in that third safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And that one. There's only three to consider, and I knew I was going over, so they're essentially locks. But I feel better at even just thinking of Neil Warren as a lock
Hmm.
more than
Yeah.
I even do as an Avion Terrell, who I really like. Um, his the profile again, the profile and just what everyone's saying, it just feels so much more like there's no way that somebody kind of lets this guy go, because this would be the guy that if the Seahawks are up there at 32 and they want to trade back, but they're like, oh well, McNeil Warren's just right here, like.
Uh-huh.
Let's just do that. Why are we messing around? We'll trade back from 64. We'll
I'm
we'll get more
telling you,
picks later.
I feel like there's a bunch of teams that would love to add McNeil Warren right on top of it. I mean, the 49ers, the Bills, would just love to slap him right on. Needs be darned. There's several teams just sitting all through there. The Cowboys, they may not take him that early, but they would love to slap him on at some point in the first round. So I feel like there's several teams that would love to just slap that aggressive hitting athleticism right over the top of their defense.
Yeah, if Thieneman goes to the popular place of Minnesota at 18,
Yeah.
I'm in Carolina at 19. Like clock's ticking for McNeil Warren at that point to
Yeah.
me. So I think he can go anywhere in the back third of the draft, basically, or
Hmm.
the first round, I should say. All right, that's gonna do it for this segment. We did it, Ben. 40 minutes. This is on Box Score Network. This is also on the Simon and Friends podcast, but Simon and Friends podcast, you are gonna get a second, less buttoned up version of this episode. So if you're here on Box Score Network and you're like, wow, I want to hear more of what these guys have to say, go to the Simon and Friends podcast, Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, and we're gonna continue doing some fun preview stuff here. But it is draft day as this comes out. Draft day. And we wanted to keep this tight for you guys. So if you're on Box Score Network, thank you so much. Come back Friday because Ben and I will be recapping the first round and then come back all next week, all summer long because we will have 2026 draft content, 2027 draft content, and then just fun general draft content of all things in between those two things as well. So thank you so much. Enjoy the draft. Happy drafting. We will talk to you again soon. And for all you sickos here on the Simon and Friends podcast who have nothing better to do than to get ready with us for the 2026 NFL draft, thank you so much for being here. Ben and I had the annual conversation on the show of, okay, the show's coming out on the day of the draft. Do we keep this thing tight? Do we keep this thing quick so it has a good turnaround and maybe has some good numbers? Or do we just make this for us and we have fun talking about the draft because this is what we enjoy doing more than anything? And that's we wanted to do both. So this is us having our cake and eating it too. And the rest of the episode is just gonna be us going through this first round. Then what I did was I wrote down all of our locks.
Okay.
Um, and we're gonna try and piece these guys together into a mock that's clean and really kind of assess where like some runs are
Yeah.
gonna happen, what the latest information is kind of saying, and just kind of how we feel about everything. So I essentially came up. Can we call McNeil Warren a lock based on that conversation? Will we
Yes.
call him a
I,
lock
I
lock?
feel that way. Yes.
So we ended up with 25 out of 32 locks.
Okay.
So then some guys like truly on the bubble after that. I didn't include McCoy. So I think Jermon McCoy would kind of be one tier below those guys. Um, no linebacker. I think if we wanted to go, I didn't write down TJ Parker or Zion Young as a lock.
Yeah.
Or Malachi Lawrence, who would be my like, I wouldn't put Akis or Howell or Armis Thomas in a mock. But between Parker, Young, and Lawrence, those kind of do you think do you think Lawrence is even like touching the bubble of this sort of thing?
I think there's not for everybody, but yeah, I think there's a slice of the NFL that would definitely have him on this bubble. I agree. Yes.
Okay. No other defensive tackles, right? We don't think Miller or Banks have any shot.
At this point, I don't think so. I've moved on from those two guys for bubble first rounders.
All right, I'm gonna put Ian Achor on here before we come back to the guards.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to the guards. Any tight ends? Are you thinking Stowers or Claire or
I
are
don't
even
think
on the
so. That
bubble
would
for
really
you?
surprise me. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll get Simpson on our bubble list. So our bubble list has Jermon McCoy, TJ Parker, Malachi Lawrence, Zion Young, Maxi Iheanacho, Ty Simpson. That gets us to 31 names.
Hmm.
Okay. For everybody, let me give you a recap of who our actual locks are. We had 25 real. These guys are going in the first round. Mendoza, Love, Tate, Tyson, Lemon, Sadiq, Maui Noah, Proctor, Freeling, Fano, Lomu, Miller, Elwane, Woods, McDonald, Reese, Bailey, Bain, Falk, Mesidor, Styles, Delane, Downs, Thieneman, McNeil, Warren. So I think where we go from here is if we did it like we could do another tier down, or we could just make our bubble list like bigger. It doesn't have to be 32 names on the bubble. I think we go back to the corners since you
Yeah.
had the over on them, and we could put all of them on there. We could put Terrell, we could put Hood, we could put Johnson all on there.
Yeah.
Um, Terrell, Hood, Johnson. That gets us to 32, 33,
And I don't
34.
care, but I had Cisse on the bubble as well at corner.
Yeah, CC doesn't tackle. I don't want him. When you said that in there, I was like, I'm not gonna get into the CC thing on this version of the podcast because we don't have time for that. But
Nope.
yeah. And again, I watched like two and a half, three and a half, 4 games this season. Like, but I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't like to hit. Um,
I think you're right, but I got to go back to my notes and remember. Like, I remember you saying that. I don't remember if I noted that or not.
it was one of those things that as I was watching, I was feeling it, and then I saw when he turned it on, and the way he turned and he looked at the side his sideline, and I was like, that DB coach told him to freaking tackle somebody, or he was getting pulled from the game, and so he made one tackle and made a big show of it. I was I know that move. I know what that guy. I know what's happening here. Um, so
Found my
that's
note
how I
on
know.
him. Tackling seems fairly pedestrian, not bad necessarily, but always mediocre to bad. And then I marked out not and necessarily, so it's just bad, mediocre to bad. That's his tackling.
So there you go. Not a first round pick. Especially when these other corners are like vicious, man. Like Delane loves contact.
That's a
Terrell
good point. Yeah.
McCoy, for the things I say are his faults, loves contact. Um, Johnson was a guy I didn't get film on, but I know that guy. Guy likes contact, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy really enjoys it. Very aggressive.
Hood isn't super aggressive, but he's good at it. He'll do it. Like a run play comes to his side, he is squaring up and
He'll
he's making
handle
a tackle.
business. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Um, all right, cool. Oh, dude, draft day, right? One of these days, Ben, I'm gonna be on some YouTube, this one or box score, and I'm just gonna watch it and have a live watch party of draft day. Uh, uh, a part I loved when I was rewatching it this week was the coach, the new coach from the Cowboys, wants to trade with the Bills to get draft picks back and get a running back
Yes.
that he likes.
Okay.
And Kevin Costner says, I don't like that running back. And coach says, he's a beast. What are you talking about? He said, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, he doesn't block. And I just thought about me looking at scouting running backs. And it's the first thing I write in my notes for all of them. Because like, what am I going to say? He runs fast. Cool. He's a running back.
Right.
I don't care. Does he block? That's what I want to know. Um, and it severely changed my rankings in last year's running back class because it was like
Yeah.
Travion Henderson blocks, and Marion Hampton doesn't block. That guy.
Right.
Anyways, Cisse doesn't hit. Not going in the first round. All right, and
Nope.
then the guards. How many how many of the guards do we put on the bubble? Do we just do the two left guards? Do we pick one name to put on the bubble here, or does Rutledge get on here too? What do we do?
My honest instinct gut feel on the guards is that none of them are really truly deeply on the bubble. I feel like
Yeah,
they're all sitting back. And it wouldn't
especially
shock me if a guy snuck in. I just don't feel like most teams are looking at them trying to grab them late first.
especially getting to 34 names here with all the other positions, and I look at these names, I'm just like, if I'm any of these teams, and it's funny we got to 34 because that's where the Cardinals pick, their second pick, and we have Simpson
Yeah,
on this list.
right.
So it feels like we could just do a 1 to 34 mock right now and
Yeah.
get Ty Simpson, end with a quarterback at 34, start with a quarterback at 1. Because again, so this mock that we're doing, guys, this isn't me and Ben trading off. This isn't going by team. We're trying to figure out like a clear picture for us right now. That's what we're trying to do just for a little bit of fun here. So I'm
And
gonna
it
write
felt
down
like on
Jets
the
at
guards,
33. Yeah,
Bizantis, Dunker, Pregnon, Rutledge, it always felt like, hey, this week there's a slice of teams that really love this
yep.
guard, but that never stuck to any one guy. And it kind of felt like there was a new guard each week. And now we've got four of them, but it really doesn't feel like there's a momentum for any of those four.
The changing of the guard, you would say.
Yes.
Okay. You're on the Simon and Fred's podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in if you haven't figured that out already. All right, let's do this, Ben. Let's do this flash mock draft. We're gonna go 1 to 34, try to pick this clean. We're gonna do this together.
Okay.
Raiders. Trade?
No,
Okay, Mendoza it is. Got it.
correct.
Jets. Are we going with Bailey or Reese? Have you been following the McShay drama on Bailey versus Reese?
It's absolutely guaranteed to be one of these guys one week, and the next week it's absolutely guaranteed to be this other guy.
Did you watch Community? Did you watch the show Community?
No, I didn't. Dang it.
So there's one episode where one of the main characters, Britta's the worst. That's all you have to know. Britta wants to be a forensic psychologist. So then they do a Criminal Minds bit
Okay.
where she's looking at clues and she's saying this person folds their paper, which either means they had a really great childhood or a really terrible childhood. And the color shirt that the person was wearing that day was blue, which either means they were very happy or very sad. And so when Bailey gets his meeting with the Jets canceled, his visit with the Jets gets like this either means they're gonna take him and they know it, so they canceled the visit, or it means they know they're gonna take Reese, so they canceled the visit.
No chance.
They know one of those two things. So, anyways,
I'm fine either way. Whichever they end up doing and whichever you want to do for them, I have no feel. I don't care about that for this. They're both going to go early. So
what do you think the Cardinals would do in either scenario? If Reese is there when the Cardinals pick at three, do you think the Cardinals would want to take a pass rusher at three, either one?
yeah, my feeling is if Baylor were sitting there, they would take Kim. And man, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm not the first one to say this, and I won't be the last. I would have some PTSD over tweener guys. I really would. So I would avoid Reese. I would jump on Bailey. If Bailey's gone, I think I would take offensive line. So
And when we did the war room and I was given the Cardinals, I was like, I do want to trade out of this. And
yeah.
you know, it it sounds like, if Reese is there, like it's like, oh, someone could trade up. But like who would want to trade who does want to trade up for do the Saints want to come up? Do the Commanders want to come up? They don't have a second round pick or a fourth round pick, I think. Um do the cow like is this where the Cowboys make that big splash? Do they want to come up? The trade up just seems harder in my
Hmm.
opinion. So I think it's safer, especially because like we don't have to get the teams exactly right either right now. Like we're just trying to map out what this round is going to look like. So if we are just going to say that like Bailey is going to go and Reese is going to go, and those are the top three: Mendoza, Bailey, Reese. Somehow, some way, some
Yes.
teams. I think that makes sense as a top three.
I'm fine with that.
Titans,
Let's get Bailey and Reese out of there. So
Titans, Giants. I'm pretty convinced Jeremiah Love is going to be a top five pick,
okay.
and the Giants getting that 10th overall pick to me really makes that floor for Love at five because they know they can do something a little more heady at 10. They can
Okay.
get an offensive lineman. They can get a corner, right? They can get even though Downs is a safety, taking him in the top 10 doesn't seems risky, but like just a sound player, a sound move. So I think Love is going to get in this top 10. And then if I look at these other names and I look at what else is going on, to me, like I think Styles just gets in the top five as well. We love him. I can see a case for either of these teams taking him. Um, and we both think he's a top five player in the class. Is there a case for you that someone else gets into this top five instead?
Yes,
One of the right tackles or somebody else?
yes, but I'm not going to fight on it. I think there's huge cases to be made that Love could slip right out of the top 10 and that
Mm,
Styles could get out of the top six, but they're both going to be gone by the 12th spot.
yeah.
So I'm not going to, there's no need to fight it here at 5-6. So I'm at 4-5. So you drop them both in here. Totally fine.
You and Robertson in your mock on odds on favorite said something that I actually wrote the same day, maybe on NFL mock. It was when the Dexter Lawrence trade happened. And it was basically like, what's the fallout of this trade? And while I think it helps a small handful of teams in terms of like the order at which some of these guys are going to go, um, at the end of the day, like I think the top eight players are the top eight players, and just going
Yeah,
to be a different order. The top
right.
12 guys are the top 12 guys, and like the needs and the abilities and the flexibilities, I think all kind of line up that we're not going to have. I don't think we're going to have this guy that's like a massive faller or a massive riser. I think these guys are going to be in chunks now. Can maybe someone we think is going to get taken at 20 go at 14, and we're like, ooh, that was a little shocking, maybe. But I don't think there's
Maybe.
going to be this like free fall of somebody. I'm not getting Jeremiah Love at 15 to the Bucks like I did in mock 2.0 or 3.0, whatever we did. Um, Although I see what you're saying, because if teams are doing more logical things and they're taking offensive linemen and they're taking a wide receiver and some really high level defensive players, that's how he would fall. But I just don't think that's going to end up happening.
No,
Um,
if teams are going need based, then Love and Styles could fall a little bit. But if they're
yeah.
wanting to go best player available, there's just no way Love and Styles fall very far at all.
Where do you think the Browns end up doing at the end of all this?
I think they're going to go offensive line, and I think it's either going to be Malinois or Fano myself. I'm going to be surprised if they do something different. I really am. I
Yeah.
The needs are too overwhelming, both right now and for the next 2 or 3 seasons. I feel like they've got to get a guy here. So
McShay spreading all that smoke about Caden Proctor, the Caden Proctor love to Cleveland. There was obviously those 2 weeks where everybody, including myself, was like Monroe Freeling. Um, and the only
yeah,
reason I'm not sticking to that is just because it seems like no one actually stayed with that.
right.
Um, Even though that's what I would do. Like true left tackle, I
Yeah,
think he has like the highest upside, and I think he's got a really good floor right now. But everyone loves Fano again, Ben. You and I never wavered. Everyone loves him again. And now everyone's like, he played left tackle as a freshman 2 years ago. So like Browns at six to be their franchise left tackle. And that sucks for me, man, because best case scenario, he's the next Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame career on average of 5 to 6 win teams for his whole life. But screw you, Joe Thomas. That guy's annoying. So let's pencil Fano in there, because then what you're doing otherwise, if you're the Browns, is if you took Maui Noah, I mean, I guess you could stick him at guard, right? Put him at right guard and put Proctor at right tackle, or not Proctor, put Titus Howard at right tackle. And then you're hoping Dawan Jones gets healthy enough for left tackle and Tevin Jenkins is on the bench. But Fano, you take him and you have a real path, I think, to saying this guy could be a franchise left tackle, right? The
yeah,
fact that he has played there, he has the athleticism to do it. I don't think Maui Noah, I wouldn't want to draft him and move him over there. I'm not saying he couldn't. But when I'm watching for a guy that can switch sides like that, especially year one, I need like exemplary athleticism for me to just see that blindly,
yeah.
like I did with Joe Alt, right? Like you watch Joe Alt move on his college tape, and you're like, this guy can just play anywhere. Just he's so smooth and natural at everything. Fano, I get that. Maui, no, I don't get that
Yeah, I'm fine either way. If I were the Browns, being the Browns, I'd probably take Mao and Noah. I know that doesn't necessarily fit this
because you
season,
just need a double. Yeah,
but long term, I feel like that would be better for them. But I really don't
yeah.
feel like either of these two tackles is going to last too much longer. So whether the Browns take them or a different team is not going to matter much to me.
Because I'll tell you what, and despite what McShay said in this, sorry guys, I listened to McShay just before bed and I did this, so that's what's fresh in my mind right now. Because now he's pivoting from the Chiefs taking a tackle again. He's back off of that. But then he was like, but Andy Reid still might want it. I love McShay, I really do. I'll tell you what, I think Fano and Maui Noah are both gone in the top nine now.
Yeah, I
Definitely top
agree.
10. I think the Giants will eat that up, but I think the Chiefs are gonna end up taking the other one. Um, so if we have Fano at six to the Browns kind of right now, again, we're just kind of mapping out like who's gonna get taken. The where isn't super specific, whatever. Um, so if I put Maui Noah, you like Maui Noah at nine to the Chiefs?
Yes, I think the Chiefs would be happy with either guy. I don't even know which one they would truly want, but I think they'd be happy with either guy.
Yeah, because they have a hole at right tackle, and for as much as I say Jalen Moore can be the starter,
Yeah.
that's the spot, and that's where both those guys play in college. So I think that makes sense. Commanders and Saints 7 and 8. They're not teams that need offensive line help in the first round necessarily. Um, so if Mendoza, Bailey, Reese, Styles, Love, Fano, and Maui Noah are kind of off the board for us, we still have Tate, we still have Bain, we still have Downs. Um, what do you like for those teams here?
If I were the Commanders, it would come down to Bain or Delane or Downs. Any of those three, probably Bain.
Bane. All right. Yep. I like that. And especially because I think his floor would be eight to the Saints as well. I think if Commanders went with one of the DBs, Saints would take Bane. So I'm happy sliding him here for the Saints. Are you thinking Tate or are you thinking one of the defense backs?
I've consistently mocked the past 2 or 3 weeks Delane to the Saints if he's sitting there. And if he's not, that probably means an edger is sitting there that they would snap up. But I've
Right.
been mocking Delane to the Saints.
Okay. So here we have Styles slipping a little bit, but our top nine so far, we're looking at Mendoza, Bailey, Reese, Styles, Love, Fano, Bain, Delane, and Maui Noah. And I might have just said Styles slipping, I meant down slipping. So
Yes,
we're
right,
back on
right.
the clock with the Giants at 10. Now, what I was going to do in our mock the other night with the Giants had Fano not fallen to me like he did, is I would have taken Yawane. I would have, I made the running back pick. I have to support that the best way I can. I have to support that quarterback the best way I can. Um, I'll move John Runyon over to right guard. I don't really care if I bench John Runyon. I bench John Runyon. I'm putting Yawane at left guard. I have Andrew Thomas. I have Yawane. I've got Illuminor who I paid to play right tackle, and then I let Mbao and Runyon and John Michael Schmitz, and then if I want to add somebody else later on, I'll let those guys battle for center and right guard. I would go Ioane, but Caleb Downs is also here. Um, what do you think for the Giants? And then, if we're looking ahead a little bit, the Dolphins at 11 could just take the other person that we're talking about here.
Totally agree. So let me start with the Iwane. I feel like the Giants are going to have a tough time. Forget the Giants. Harbaugh. It's Harbaugh stuff, right? Harbaugh is going to have a tough time. I'm sure he already knows who he wants. He wouldn't have made the trade. He's going to have a tough time having two picks in the top 10 and not making one of them a mean, tough as nails, kind of a
Yeah.
trenches kind of a player. I have a hard time seeing him do a running back and a defensive back, honestly. So I figure if he's gone running back, Iwane would be another guy that would be sitting here that he would jump on.
Yeah, I like that. And then Dolphins just take Caleb Downs.
I think that's right, but who else is available? Um,
We could get into the wide receivers because Carnell Tate is still there.
mhm.
We could get into like kind of the next group of tackles if you wanted. And then you're looking at like Falk in terms of the edge rushers, and you're looking at the safeties. Um, or like a Jermod McCoy if you wanted to get a corner in there.
Yeah, so
But yeah, it's
if McCoy's meds had all checked out, I'd probably say McCoy. But since nobody's sure that they have, I don't even think NFL teams are certain, then I think that I would be running Caleb Downs up is what I would be doing for the Dolphins.
you would maybe take McCoy over Downs if the medicals were okay.
Only in Miami's case.
Got it.
It's just the idea, and even I'm not sure I would do that because I more than likely, if I were the guy picking through here by myself, Downs would be gone. I would still take Downs over a healthy McCoy, but for the Dolphins needing some attitude and some grit, I would at least consider a healthy McCoy.
All right, now we're at the Cowboys at 12, and they're in nightmare scenario because all these defensive players have gone.
Yeah,
And I wrote about this and I mentioned this. The Cowboys are winners in the Giants going taking that spot from the Bengals, but we still have all the important, impactful defensive players have gone, right? Um, so where do the Cowboys sit at 12? You took Falk in our mock for them. Um, they could go safety, they could go edge. Is there a team you like to trade? I mean, dude, Cardinal Tate's still here in what we're doing right now.
yeah, and that's the thing. Cowboys feels like they're picking leftovers, be best player available. So unless they trade up, I don't think they're going to get the guy they really want, but they are going to get a guy they like, and that's in this spot. I think that would be Carnell Tate. So you either have three good wide receivers now if you're the Cowboys, or
Mm.
that opens the door for you to trade George Pickens. So.
Cardinal Tate. So, do you want to explore any trade backs? I mean, we haven't done any trades in this, and maybe that's a little too fun. We're only at an hour 4 minutes, man. We could change this too. Do you hate what we just did in the top 11? If there's something in the top 11, I'll run through it for everybody. Would you change it? So we have Mendoza go one to the Raiders, Bailey Reese go 2-3 to Jets and Cardinals. Titans take Styles at 4, Giants Love at 5, Browns take Fano at 6, Commanders go Bain at 7, Saints go 8, Delane, Chiefs go 9, Maui Noah, Yowane goes 10 to the Giants, and then Downs goes 11 to the Dolphins. Do you hate any of that? Do we need to get Tate in there somewhere and then one of these defensive players kind of sneaks down to the Cowboys, or does Dallas look at this? Are they running amok right now like we are, and they say, "Man, we still need to just trade up. We still just need to take our third round pick or our second round pick next year and offer it to the Commanders or the Saints and just make this move."
I, as far as which players got picked out of these top 11, no, I wouldn't go changing anything around. The top 12 guys are basically going to keep swapping positions. I do feel like if Tate's sitting here at 12, the Cowboys would take him. There's a chance though, and I think this is what's inspiring the Cowboys trade up talk is that the Cowboys want a specific guy, whether it's
Hmm.
Styles or somebody else. They're going to have to push up in the top seven or so to get him. It's probably not just going to fall here. Somebody's going to cycle out to 12, whether it's Jeremiah Love and the Cowboys take him or trade, somebody wants Love at 12 and trades up to get him. Somebody's going to cycle down here to 12 out of these guys. So
Yeah. All right. Should we go with McCoy or Tate? You think Tate?
I figure they would go with Tate myself. So
Okay.
if
Let's
if
do
they
it.
don't go with Tate, I figure somebody traded up to get Tate at
That's true.
12.
Yeah. And that would be a good spot, right? If they're sitting there, all the
Hmm.
defense is shot. Do the Jets want to come up and take Tate? Wow, that I have seen this a couple times and I never really I was like, Tate's not falling out, but man, we just did the exercise and like we
Right.
just
One guy is,
somebody.
like we all think it's not going to be any of these guys, right? But somebody's got to be sitting there at 12 still.
And again, this is what we were talking about before, where it's like the top 12 guys are the top 12 guys. Because the
Yes,
cleanest thing, if we were just gonna like hit mock draft database, all 32 teams, and we just get to pick whatever we want, like we're kind of doing here, we would just put Tate to the Saints at 8, and then Delane would be at 12 to the Cowboys. Like these
he
feel
would.
like the top 12 guys, right? You've
Yeah.
got a quarterback, you've got three edge rushers, a corner, a safety, two tackles, a guard, and a wide receiver and a linebacker. And that feels like what we're looking at with the top 12. So then we get to the Rams. Cleanest thing is still Makai Lemon, right?
I think so. I've heard other names, and Jordan Tyson wouldn't surprise me, but Lemon feels the cleanest, honestly.
And when we did the NFC West War Room, you helped me get there, but it's like if you're taking a receiver and the point of it is depth and reliability and contingency plans, Tyson's not the way you go. You go with Lemon. Just who you can count on to be there kind of thing. All right, Ravens. So Ravens, Ioane is the popular mock for them, right?
Right.
And I've had my whole thing about that. That's a left guard. You just signed John Simpson to play left guard, even though our lad says John Simpson over at right guard because of Andrew Voorhees. God forbid we move Andrew Voorhees, who's been the worst offensive lineman starting in the league for the last 2 seasons, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so no Bane. That's also been a popular one that I've seen floating around for them. Um, Is this the Jamal McCoy team? I like Jordan Tyson here for them. You could talk me into one of the other corners. You could talk me into an edge rusher here, maybe. What do you like for the Ravens, kind of at this point?
Once again, man, if they've done their homework on McCoy, honestly, if teams have done their homework on McCoy, I'm not sure he sits here at 14, just to be real honest about it. He
Yeah.
might, but I'm not sure he does. But let's assume that McCoy's meds are still uncertain. To me, it's Jordan Tyson, it's Kenyon Sadiq, or it's Peter Woods here. I believe this is
Hmm.
where the Ravens might think about those three guys right there.
You said you said Sadiq, Woods,
Tyson, Woods,
and
yeah,
Tyson.
yeah,
And between 14, 15, I mean, those feel like the right names kind of for the next three picks here. Because you got Ravens, Bucks, Jets. And it feels like Jets are going to want to go with a wide receiver pace, possibly.
yes,
So they could go Tyson. The Ravens could go Sadiq. The Bucks
yes.
could go Woods. Woods could go to the Ravens. You also kind of
Uh,
get into the Mesidor realm at that point.
When I tell you, this is something I mocked a few weeks ago. Keldrick Falk here. This might be where people start thinking about Falk as well. So
Hmm.
Falk to the Bucks at 15 is also a real possibility too.
Yeah, and he could
So
be a Raven. He could be a Raven.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay, let's see. Let's see. This is also, I
honestly,
think, starting to be another trade back range.
yeah, if somebody likes one of these guys that's sitting right
Steelers
here,
wants to get it. Steelers wants if the Steelers want to come get a tackle before the Lions. If the Lions want to move up a bit to protect themselves. If the Eagles still really like one of these tackles,
I
this is where
figured
it
the
feels like
Ravens. would be looking at Tyson or Woods myself.
Yeah.
Just they're a little
I
bit of a
like
unique
Tyson the best
franchise.
for them right here.
Okay, let's do
And
that.
then we get a little wide receiver run of Tate, Lemon, Tyson, and we take care of that wide receiver group. Um,
And I honestly like Keldrick Falk right here to the Bucks.
okay.
He's got the size that I think they would prefer. I really
Yeah.
do, with the
Yep.
upside too.
Yep. Falk good. That's good there. Um, Jets. No wide receiver, no defensive
Yeah,
lineman. Playing it out this way here. They don't need offensive line. They've done so much on the defensive line, so it doesn't even feel like they would look at a Mesidor or a Woods. Could they go safety? Could they be a sneaky safety team?
I'd have to go back and double check, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. These safeties are good enough that even if you've got one already at your starting spot, they're good
I
enough
think
you could drop one in.
I think the way we played it out just now, I'm gonna try and look up their depth chart. I think the way we played it out just now though would be defensive back. So you're looking at one of the corners, whoever you like here, or one of these safeties. But let me pull up their R lads right quick. Let me do some let me do some research. Let me call my sources. See what's going on for Aaron Glenn.
While you're doing that, I will say I can recall several mocks now. It feels like the Jets are in an awkward position here at 16. I've felt that more than once. They're still going to get a guy they like. It just does feel like some of the guys that would be perfect fits for them won't be here at 16.
And this might be that, we said this earlier, but like this might be that trade with the Cowboys, right? So if I'm
Yes.
putting a little stars next to it, they go
Yes.
up from 16 to 12 to get a receiver. Maybe it's not Tate, but maybe
Hmm.
they want Tyson, right? Maybe they want Lemon.
Wouldn't
And we
surprise
just
me.
had those receivers go in that range. They go here. The Cowboys come down to 16 for this little run of like not these tier one defensive players, but this kind of they don't want to take Thieneman at 12, but if they pick up a fifth round pick and they get 16 and they take him there, that probably feels better for them too. If I'm looking at the Jets depth chart, um, golly, yeah, it's got to be. We just got to put a defensive back here. I don't care which one it is. Um, Nashawn Wright, Brandon Stevens, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., uh, Azaria Thomas are the corners. And then you've got Malachi Moore, Minka Fitzpatrick, Andre Cisco, Dane Belton are the safeties. So pick your defensive back. Who do you want to put here? We could do McCoy, Terrell, Thieneman. I think we probably don't go Terrell yet. I want to wait. I want to focus on more of our lock type players. So one of either Thieneman or McCoy.
Yeah, I think I would go McCoy. It, the Jets feel like they would want somebody a little bit. Thieneman is small. I gotta say, as much as I love Thieneman,
Yeah,
he man, dang it, for an NFL player, he's small. He cannot push a pile. He
he's
gets
like
run
six
over
foot
by
two oh
running
five,
backs
right?
in the
Yeah,
hole. Yes,
yeah.
it's a thing, and that's so you gotta have a team that's set up to just have him run free safety and
That's
kill
all
it
he
back
is.
there.
And he can come up and hit, but
He can come up and
it's
hit.
not a you play
Yes.
him in the box. It's not a you blitz him off the edge.
Nope.
He's a deep safety. Yep. Okay. McCoy. And if that's the Cowboys trading back for McCoy, I think that's just fine. Um, Lions are going to be an offensive lineman. So
I
we
would
already
love
had.
to slam Monroe Freeland here. I just
Yeah.
absolutely would love it. So
Yep.
if you're
Yep. I
okay with
agree.
it.
And that's why the Steelers are looking to trade up. But nope. I think that's good. Vikings Thieneman. Do we just follow the crowd?
I think so. Because I looked at this. I really feel like who's the Flores. I feel like he would love McNeil Warren. The hit, the aggressive but when you look at it, they've already got dang it, who's their box safety sitting there?
Yeah. Yeah. I know
Uh
who you're talking about.
they've got a fantastic box safety sitting right there who's kind of half linebacker, half safety. So having Thieneman over the top of that to run free safety would actually be a perfect fit here. They don't need two box safeties, as it were, with McNeil Warren. So
Metellus. Josh
yeah,
Metellus.
Metellus would fit so much better with Thieneman. You know,
2 years ago, we were making up positions for him. It was like the
yeah,
slot edge rusher, the sub
great.
slot edge rusher, Metellus, and now he's full time back safety. All right, cool. Um, Now we've got Panthers, Cowboys, Steelers. Um, I'm gonna get Lomu in here. That's gonna happen. Um, The Cowboys have to get a defensive player here. Peter, but I mean, they have Quinn Williams and um, they re-signed Kenny Clark, but they just traded Osa Odighizuwa. So they could just go Peter Woods and say like, let's just go crazy on defensive tackle, or they could go with one of these edge rushers here. Um, or they could go McNeil Warren. You know, there's a lot of ways that they could look at this. Um, I'm actually putting one last mock together for NFL mocks, and I kind of like them using their third round pick on one of those defensive backs, whether it's a Kilgore, whether it's um, I mean, it could be a Wheatley, a Zachy Wheatley, but Kilgore specifically, or like a Ramsey right out of USC. Get somebody that could play a little nickel, someone that could play a little safety for them. I kind of like that there, but they could go McNeil Warren. He could also go to the Panthers, but I also like Woods there. Um,
Let's start with Carolina. So I've got three names for them. It's
okay.
because the pass catchers that they could go pass catcher here.
Yep.
It
Yep.
would not shock me, but that's not one of my three names. The three names are Peter Woods, McNeil Warren, and even this could be where people start thinking about a CJ Allen, even though it's very early
hmm
for me. Woods or McNeil Warren would be who I would want to cap here because you've got size and you've got high ceilings for both of these guys, and that would help the
Yeah.
Panthers.
And let's just can you want to just lock those as our next two, whether it's Panthers or Cowboys, but Woods and McNeil Warren, or do you like other names for the Cowboys?
No, that's fine. So if we were gonna do those two players, those two teams, I feel like McNeil Warren goes way better for the Cowboys and Woods would go better for the Panthers. But
Yeah, I agree.
who cares if they're both going? So
Yep. So I am. I mean, we had Falco. We had Falco at 15. Okay, so they're not actually falling that much. I was about to say the edges are falling a little bit, but the safeties are going a little quicker than I thought, and the wide receivers went a little quicker than we thought they would. So let's see where they all end up. Sadiq is still out there. Um, Cross off Woods. Obviously, Lomu is going to the Steelers at 21. Do you want to entertain any other names? Do you want to pitch anything to me
for your Steelers,
for the
no man,
Steelers?
you go ahead and tell me what the Steelers are doing this spot. I'll
Thanks,
leave
man. I
that with you.
appreciate you.
You're welcome.
One, two, stupid Steelers. Three, four, five, two, three. All right. I messed up my math somewhere. What do I have going on over here? Oh, wait, no, I didn't. One, two. Just can't read my hand. Four, five. One, two, three, four. Oh, I did something weird somewhere. Oh, no, it's McCoy. That's why, because McCoy wasn't a lock for me. Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right, we're good. So we've got Chargers, Eagles, Browns, Bears, Bills coming up next. I haven't given a full update in a while. So after that receiver run where we had Tate, Lemon, Tyson go 12, 13, 14, Keldrick Falk, Jermon McCoy, Monroe Freeling, Dylan Thieneman, Peter Woods, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Caleb Lomu. So a couple defensive linemen, a couple safeties, a couple tackles. We have going in this range, but fairly even split right now. All right, we've got the Chargers up next at 22.
And
These are
what
the
did you end up?
names.
I'm sorry. What did you end up doing with the Steelers?
Loma.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. Go wipe
These
that
are the
out. Caleb
names on
Lomu.
our lock list that are still left.
Okay.
Kenyon Sadiq,
Yep.
Aiden Proctor,
Yep.
Blake Miller,
Yep.
Caden McDonald, and Akeem
Hmm.
Mesidor. Those were our locks. And then our bubble guys that we still have left are TJ Parker, Malachi Lawrence, Zion Young, Maxi Inachor, Ty Simpson, and then the corners, Terrell, Hood, Chris Johnson.
Out of all those names, I'm gonna pick two names I'm not even that high on, to be honest. But I do feel like the Char the Chargers could handle these guys for sure. McDonald, the defensive tackle, would plug a need. I've been banging on them for two or three off seasons now. And then Blake Miller at a tackle spot. Um, I feel like they would know what to do with him too. So, but that they don't need the tackle spot. I mean, because assuming
Well, and
that their
that's the
guys are
thing.
healthy, right?
Yep. What you're doing with him, because I was also going to float Proctor. What you're doing with either of those guys is you're sticking them on their side at guard.
Yeah.
Like Miller, you're putting at right guard, Proctor, you're putting at left guard, and then they're your insurance policy if one of those tackles goes down.
Yeah, I don't like
So
doing that for the Chargers. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad plan, but I feel like they've got several needs, so I kind of hate to
yeah.
run a tackle there.
And then you said McDonald, just go get a plugger.
Yeah, but I tell you what defensive back would not surprise me right there is what either.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, any of those cornerbacks, anywhere from we're looking at Hood and Terrell, that
Hmm.
would not surprise me either. I'll let you pick for the
Uh,
Chargers. I don't have a great feeling on them.
As much as I want to do the O-line thing, I don't think they are going to care enough about that to do it here. I think they'd rather wait till the second round, right?
Uh-huh.
One of those. And since we're at a confusing part right now, this isn't where you're like, let's just pencil Basantis in at 22
Right.
or Pregnon, right? You're not feeling that?
Man, I just don't think the Chargers are going to jump on it.
Yeah. Um, Edge rusher, number three edge rusher, Khalil Mack getting older, about to have to pay Thule. Are you still like corner?
Mesidor wouldn't surprise me, but I figured they would go corner, honestly. There's some tough little
All right.
corners sitting here. I think they would like
Let's do my guy Terrell then. I
all
really
right.
liked that pick when Austin did it. And I love the player. I won't consider him a lock because I figured there's gonna be enough questions. But I think for all the things we said in that mock about Harbaugh, I think he would like Terrell, and I think Terrell would be a good fit.
Yeah, and I
Um,
tell you, see, they've got size and athleticism in that secondary. It's not like they
right.
don't. So you're not looking, where if you drop Terrell on the Dolphins or something, man, it's like a drop in the bucket. He don't even have the size. He's got the attitude, the mindset, and the athleticism. He don't have the size to get in there and make a difference on a Dolphins secondary, but on the Chargers, he could.
Yeah. All right. Eagles at 23. Do they take one of these offensive linemen and try to coach him up?
Proctor's my fun pick here but I
Yeah.
tell you what I'm doing there, and I know I am, and I fuss at mockers for doing this. It's like, where do I put Proctor? I got to put Proctor somewhere. Well, maybe the Eagles don't want Proctor, Maybe they look at Proctor and go,
This
no,
is
we
the
don't
game I
want him
tried to
here.
play with you at the mock, and you weren't playing with me. You were doing it. You're like, ah, no, I'll
So
stick him somewhere.
I actually did draft Proctor to the Eagles earlier in the week, and I'm comfortable with it. But if they aren't, what do they do, right?
Right. Hmm. I mean, so many of the things are there, right? Like questionable things that aren't just playing football, right? They're okay with that. Big SEC school, a lot of pedigree, high positional value, position of need. If it was just a cleaner fit in terms of like I could squeeze him into a position that I feel is going to be fairly natural to him, or if Jeff Stoutland was there, but he's not. Because right now it's like
Yeah,
his day one best position would be left guard, which is
okay.
already a change from playing left tackle his whole life. But now you're talking, well, if they need anything on the line, day one it's a right guard. Um, so you're gonna switch his sides, switch his alignment in terms of tackle into guard, and you're gonna do that without Jeff Stoutland for a guy that has all these question marks. It's just not like if
I
this was
agree.
last year, if this was 12 months ago, this would have been a clean slam dunk. And this is why, like, if we look at a guy on the bubble, Maxi Iheanacho is like a little bit more clean because he is a right side player. He's still very young, very malleable. Um, I think he can already hold up in pass protection. His run blocking isn't great, but like we said that about Tyler Steen too. And like, it is what it is. Like, it's fine. Steen's not like a sieve there. And that's the other thing. Like, they actually have a workable line. They just need depth. So, do you want depth at 23? But with the
If it
potential for starter, or do you want someone that's going to play right now?
if it were me, I would go ahead and grab Kenyon Sadiq right here for the Eagles. You get all that
I
athleticism.
love that. Let's
It's
do
really
that.
clean. And I'm not trying to put off offensive line till later, but knowing that there are guys in the second round that do offer you at least some, not the high ceiling, but at least offer you some good promise. I feel like the Eagles could work with that later in the draft.
If you're telling me, like, if you're coming from the future, if I'm Howie's assistant, and you, Ben, are the all-powerful draft genie, this is a show for the future. Mark this down. Um, and you say, hey, you can either have Caden Proctor at 23, or I'm guaranteeing at 55, 54, whatever their second round pick is, you can have Keelan Rutledge, and then at 105, whatever their third round, whatever they're picking the hundreds is. You can
Yeah.
have, I don't know, Austin Barber
Okay.
or Markel Bell. Like take, just Brian Parker. Just pick a tackle that you like in that
Right.
range. I would rather take those two guys in those rounds, and then someone else I can pick at 23 than Caden Proctor. So I'm like, okay, Rutledge can solve my right guard right now, compete, maybe be a future, and then a developmental tackle. If Proctor already isn't super clean in either scenario, that's what I'd rather do. Obviously, can't guarantee that for us, but if you were giving me those options, that's what was gonna happen. But Sadiq, man, when I forget what show it was when I first said it, but like Sadiq at 23 is like perfect for me because I think just outside of the top 20 for how like unique of a player he is, but the needs that Philly has and what he is good at, I think is a perfect fit here. If they trade AJ Brown, like he's that like kind of body type style player. And if they don't, like they want to beef up the tight end room a little bit, and he can do that. He's a decent blocker. Juice, which they need on the offense, an easy button. So I like that.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you all the way on this.
All right, 24 Browns. Now, this is the first time I'm going to say it in a while. We had all the wide receivers go.
Hmm.
The Browns wouldn't be a Sadiq team after getting Harold Fan in, but this feels like this is where our next receiver is going to be. And you mentioned it, a pass catcher at 19 could be Sadiq, could be a
Hmm.
receiver. We didn't go that route, and we didn't really discuss it. But this is one of those receivers. So Cooper, Concepcion, Boston. I would lean Cooper, Concepcion, and from there I would lean Cooper.
I'm with you on wide receiver because I feel like at 39 I can grab a guard I like to
Dude, I
keep
didn't even
building
put
this.
them on my bubble. I just realized that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Those two guys. So our bubble list is actually up to like 36 or so. All right. So we'll see how many picks we do in this spot.
I don't know how much you want to have conversations on these receivers, but I do feel like at this spot for Cleveland, since we grabbed an offensive lineman earlier, it would be receiver. For me, it would be Concepcion or David Boston, but I do feel like receiver here for Cleveland is what's going to happen.
Well, since we both have some crossover with KC, let's do that. So we'll go with
Okay.
Concepcion. Is the Cooper thing a Cooper thing or is that a fit with Cleveland?
No, it's a Cooper thing, and honestly, I'm not trying to drag Cooper down because lots of things to like there. Man, I have about three different large concerns with Cooper that pulled him all the way down the board for me, and this goes all the way back to the fall. And actually, it surprised me how strong he's been in the mocks. Actually, it's been the biggest end of spectrum for me as far as other people loving a player and me not is
Mm-hmm.
Cooper. So that's what it is. But
Interesting.
that's what's happened there.
All right. Bears at 25. So let me look at our mocks or our locks, our mocks. Oh wait, Sadiq. We haven't taken Proctor yet. Okay. So our locks, we still have Proctor. Locke, Proctor, Mock, Dr. Seuss over here. Blake Miller is still here. Caden McDonald, Akeem Mesidor. I mean, this feels like it has to be McDonald or Mesidor, right? And then honestly, the Bills have 26. They almost could just get whoever. Well, the Bills might be a conversation with Proctor there. Bears, who do you like, McDonald or Mesidor?
I 1,000% agree. And I'm not even totally convinced that in an average draft, Mesidor and especially McDonald would be first rounders, but they definitely are this year as far as teams might specifically need them. The Bears were the first team that came to mind when you're talking about McDonald maybe sneaking into the first round here because the Bears
Hmm.
could just plug him right in. But what I've run into with the Bears, if they don't catch, because when's their next pick? Chicago, from 25.
57?
Yeah, I tell you what happened with me with the Bears.
Yep.
If you don't grab a rusher here, Mesidor
Yeah.
specifically, by the time you're at 57, most of the ones that can get to the quarterback are gone. So you either have to decide we're going to get an edge rusher in this draft right here, or we're probably not really going to get one at all because it doesn't set up for Chicago later, is what I've continued to find. So, you know,
And Mesidor is a good run defending edge rusher
yeah,
also.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's not McDonald plugging up the middle, but he's a guy that plays well against the run.
Hmm.
Um, Fits the run, diagnoses the play really well, good at deconstructing blocks with moves or just pushing a guy off of him. Um, And I totally agree. 57 is that line just too far beyond. So I like Mesidor there as well.
And I
And don't
haven't
worry,
heard as
I
much
still
of
have a
that.
McDonald's spot. Hmm.
I've heard McDonald's slam to the Bears so many times, and I actually agree with it. I like it, but I tell you, sitting back there and looking, man, those edges, they're just not there at 57.
Yep,
It's
100%.
rotational guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think normally Mesidor is like gone, but as we do this exercise, like I'm pushing other guys up. I'm pushing other guys up. All
Right.
right, so Bills 26. They've done a lot with their run defense. They did a lot last year. They did the draft a couple guys, sign a couple veterans. So I don't think
Yes.
we need to go McDonald here. Um, but we could go with one of these other edge rushers that's on the bubble, TJ Parker, Malachi Lawrence. But I'll tell you what, man, Caden Proctor, stick him at left guard next to Deion Dawkins with the rest of that line. They have a spot there. I think Proctor's a really clean fit for the Bills, and that's my favorite spot for him. I think he could get unlocked there.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I hadn't even thought about Proctor the Bills actually, but I tell you what, here's my names. I love Proctor the Bills for the reasons you just said. Okay, that's fantastic. Uh, you mentioned Edge, right? And you specifically mentioned Parker and Lawrence. I would
Hmm.
be totally fine with that. I've mocked Parker to the Bills several times myself, but I would be fine with Lawrence as well. CJ Allen feels like a perfect Buffalo Bill kind of guy, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure it hits their biggest need, to be honest. It
Hmm.
just doesn't. And then also wide receiver is something they need, but man, I honestly feel like it's a big jump from here to 91 when they pick next. But I feel
Yeah.
like sitting at 91, there's probably two or three speed guys still sitting at 91. They
Hmm.
can add right into this offense here and be just fine at wide receiver. So I'm with you. Probably not CJ Allen, probably either Lawrence, Parker, or Proctor.
And based on what with not having a second round pick, I mean, they're probably not getting us. I mean, we say this every year. There's always starting guards. So like, they went and got Austin Corbett in free agency. They also got Lloyd Cushenberry, who's a center, but like I don't know, in a pinch maybe could play some guard. Um, is Corbett plus 91 taking a guard on 91 or just going on day three? Like they're paying money for Dawkins, they're paying money for McGovern at center. I want Proctor there. I think it's a clean fit, and I think it's the best fit for the player. The edge thing is long gone by 91. Like they're
Yeah.
just giving up on that position at that point. But you go to the offensive minded head coach, you go to Joe Brady. When Joe Brady came in, they beefed up the line. Like does he want that more? And in terms of the edges we have left are the bubble guys, and Proctor's a lock for us. So is
I'm
this
fine
just
either
kind of where
way.
we
I
let's do Proctor, man. Let's do it. Again, we're not
All right.
trying to build the perfect mock here, but Proctor's got to go in the first round somewhere, and I just love it. Niners at 27.
Yeah,
I
I
think
tell you, they don't have it as a need, but it wouldn't hurt to add Caden Proctor in at all. It wouldn't hurt to beef up this offensive line with man, we're looking at Blake
Ian
Miller even.
Achor, Blake Miller. Hmm.
Man, I tell you, because man, I'm not a Blake Miller guy, but of all teams for him to go to, the 49ers be a beautiful team for him to land on. Uh, I like that. They could use wide receiver, right? And even though I'm not a Cooper guy, there's still Denzel Boston would be
Hmm.
perfect right there. Give him the size. Um, what else are we thinking there? Sitting
I mean,
right
you
there
could
for the
go
49ers.
edge. You could go at Parker or Malachi Lawrence. They
Yes,
definitely need pass rush.
I would love Parker here for the 49ers as well. So man, I like
Let's
I
do
like
Parker.
those four. Parker, the edger, Blake Miller, the tackle, the wide receiver Denzel Boston, and what was the one other thing? I
You
mentioned
mentioned Cooper.
Caden
You mentioned
McDonald.
Proctor,
Yeah.
McDonald. Let's do Parker. Let's do Parker.
Okay.
And that's great because we just did that whole deliberation over Bills, Niners, and Proctor or Parker, one of those two spots. Both those guys go in the first 27 picks. I feel really good about that. Um, Texans could go Blake Miller. Um, they have a lot of weird stuff happening with that offensive line.
Yeah, they do.
But you also
I
think about like what's the other thing that people love about Blake Miller right now? And it's like the team first culture, like
Yeah,
type of guy you want in the room. And if this whole thing with Houston has been like they just haven't had the right people in there, like Blake Miller putting the first round tag on him and saying this is a first round tackle for us, playing right tackle, everyone else fall in line. You know, I
yeah.
could definitely see that.
For me, based on what's sitting here for Houston, because I really want the offensive line. I really
Hmm.
do. For me, for Houston, I gotta mark off Park there. It's either Blake Miller at this point or it's Caden McDonald for the Texans because they
Yeah.
could use a defensive tackle as well. But the for me, the offensive line's a bigger need, and I would even double dip either in the second and third round and go back and get another interior offensive lineman for Houston. I think the needs are still that dire.
Yeah, you sicko. You went Bazantis at 38 and then Lou at 59 or whatever you did in our two round
I
mock the other night.
did, yes.
Um, and here's the thing, Kaden McDonald, I did like that too. I was as he when he didn't go to wherever the Browns, I was like, ooh, the Texans, that'd be his floor. But now at third, so their next pick is at 38. Do you like? I mean, they could get a Kristen Miller at 38 if they get Blake Miller.
Getting Blake Miller on the offensive line and
Yeah,
adding Kristen
that would be.
Miller, and there's a real chance because you and I fuss at people about doing this. You can say, "Oh, you can get this guy later." Well, can you? But yes, it's very possible at 38. There's a
Hmm.
real good chance Kristen Miller's still sitting there. Even if he's not, you could roll the dice again later on a Dominique Orange coming in there too.
Right.
So you have legit possibilities later that you do not have for tackle. So
Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting. I mean, you could do a Caleb Tiernan with one of those day two picks.
yeah, yeah,
But if you're not doing that, you're looking at the guards. And they
uh-huh,
have such a weird thing going on with the guys that they have in the building. It's just so much cleaner to just say, we're drafting Blake Miller here. He's our starting right tackle for the next 5 years, and everyone else is going to fall in line. Than like throwing another day two guard in the mix, right?
yeah.
Um, and then at 38, if it's a Miller, if it's a Lee Hunter at defensive tackle, or down in the 50s when they pick again, it's a Dominic Orange. If it's down in the 70s or 80s when they pick again, it's a Daryl Jackson. It's a um, is it A&M or Oklahoma? Grayson Halton.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
There's some
Mhm.
other names that I like there that even if they reached a little bit, I'd rather them do that on one of those defensive tackles, especially going to play for D'Amico Ryans in that team.
They could even throw in a Rayshawn Benny in the fourth or fifth round, or a Xavier Harris in the fifth or sixth round at defensive tackle, and get some big guys in there.
All right, so Caden McDonald is our only lock we haven't taken yet. And we have the Chiefs, Dolphins, Patriots, Seahawks, Jets, Cardinals coming up. Um, what do you like for the Chiefs here? What did we do earlier? We went off offensive line earlier, so we could go corner. We have a couple bubble guys like a Hood or Chris Johnson. Um, we could get another offensive lineman and go Ian Ochor if you just want to get crazy. Or we could go with one of those edge rushers, Zion Young, Malachi Lawrence.
Man, I tell you, because I was instantly thinking wide receiver, and if so, that would
Hmm.
be more in the Denzel Boston category. But I'm looking right. I'm specifically looking here. They can pick at 40 and get a wide receiver they like.
Yeah.
They could even pick at 74 and still get an athletic receiver with size at
Hmm.
74.
Hmm.
May not be cream of the crop anymore, but still athletic with size. So I feel like wide receiver could be put on hold. You mentioned edge rusher. You're not you may not get an edge rusher you like at 40. You still got a chance here at 29. What was the
Yeah.
other position you said?
You do Katie McDonald just if you want to get
Yeah,
a first round level player for sure. I was mostly joking when I said Ian Ochor earlier, but a corner would be the other one. You could get a Hood or a Johnson here if you want to do that.
tell you what, in theory, and I don't always like doing this, if there was a player here I was in love with, I would just snap him right up, but there's not. So since there's not, I'm thinking I like what you said about edge here at 29. At
Yeah.
40, I may try to grab our corner
Yeah.
because there still should be two or three guys right there. And then at 74, I should still get a receiver that can come in and produce. So
Yeah. Yep. I like that for them. Do you like Young, who's the Stout run defender, long arm, push the pile, edge rusher, or do you like Malachi Lawrence, who's the big but speedy with some real pass rush moves, edge rusher?
I would love to give them because they've tried tweener types before. I didn't think it really, they didn't seem good at developing those, really.
Mm,
Like, as good as they've been at developing defensive backs, they have
mm,
not been good. And listen, Chris Jones notwithstanding, and man, it's been 5 or 6 years since they had a collection of guys who could get after the quarterback, and the Karlaftis notwithstanding, they have not been good at developing edge rushers. So Lawrence having a chance to stress the quarterback even
yeah.
without being developed, I think would be a lot better for them than Zion Young.
All right, we have the Dolphins at 30. We have our guy, Caden McDonald. Our lock is still not taken yet, but they
Right.
just went Kenneth Grant. They have Zach Sealer. Doesn't feel like they're going to be a defensive tackle team. And then you're like, the Patriots don't feel like a defensive tackle team. So, like, dang, man, are we like, whoops, did we mess up on McDonald? It feels like we had enough conversations about him that between the Bears, the Chargers, the Bills, the Texans, he still feels like, but like, we are grouping him into that 25 to 32 range. That's kind of a tight window. But anyways, the Dolphins, we took downs earlier. We could get another corner to play off of that. We could go Omar Cooper Jr. here, um, or Denzel Boston here. Corner or wide receiver feel like the right move for them.
I agree
Or, oh,
based
dude,
on the
wait,
fact.
Ian
Yeah.
Achor. We still have Ian Achor on here.
Oh, that's right. You know what?
Dolphins might have been right to trade all their players, at least for us draft losers. Ian
I would
Achor
prefer Ian Nachor
would,
here.
yeah, man, because they can play him at right guard right now. They have an open spot at right guard, and he can maybe play right tackle for them
See,
after Boston.
a lot of teams wouldn't do this, and a lot of Dolphins regimes wouldn't do this. But this Dolphins regime might would do this. Iwane and Ian Nachor, and I would do this.
Yeah.
So
And they're not getting both in this one. They got downs, but they could do both
yeah,
theoretically.
that's right. We went ahead
Left
and
guard,
went
right
with
guard.
Downs for that. So um,
Um, so do you still, yeah, you still want to do that, right? Downs and Ian Achor.
I think I would. There's enough
Okay.
talent there. It's not that he can't play. It's just a question of how good can he be. It seems to be the question here with Ian Nachor.
All right, Patriots. Patriots at 31. Do they get one of those receivers, Cooper or Boston? Do they just, I mean, their defensive tackles are studs too, man, so they don't need Caden McDonald. Do they go edge
Right.
rusher with a Zion Young? Do they go corner? Um, it's kind of what we're looking at, right? What do you like best for them right now?
I felt like wide receiver and edge were the two biggest needs. I really do. So
Yeah,
honestly, I can see them working Zion Young into the rotation very easily.
yeah.
I can also see them adding a receiver. I'm not sure. Let's assume Cooper is what everybody, not everybody, let's assume Cooper is what a large slice of people think that he is. I'm
Hmm.
still not sure that he vastly upgrades this room because of his size. They've already
Hmm.
got guys who can get around.
Yeah.
Denzel Boston would offer size for the Patriots along with some speed if we were going to go wide receiver, but Zion Young, I could easily see them working him into this rotation and being a type of a defense that would use him.
Yeah, I think he feels like the cleanest fit, honestly.
Okay.
So if we're
To
going with
Zion Young
Zion
here.
here, oh man, my pen's running out, Ben.
Uh-oh.
Zion. All right, Seattle. Seattle at 32.
That's a good question. Seattle is a team because obviously wide running back later. I
Do
don't
they
feel
just take
running
Caden
back here.
McDonald? Do we squeeze in Caden McDonald right here?
That's a good question.
They've
What have
got
they
defensive
got?
tackles, but those Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed, right? Aren't those their main defensive tackles? And those guys a little
Okay,
older.
and Reed is
Hang on.
fine, but you know,
I mean, just like McDonald, he's a plugger, but if is he still even there?
I
Maybe
I would
someone
have to go
can
back
check
and
it.
check. Yeah.
Let me look. Let me look. Let me look. Yeah, he's still there. Oh, and Byron Murphy. Okay, so they, yeah, stud. Leonard
I think I
Williams.
would rather go corner for them here. They kind of get their first pick of the cornerbacks. Hood, Cisse, Chris Johnson.
Yeah. Well, not Cisse. He doesn't tackle. They can't do
That's
that.
right. They
You
don't
want
want
Chris
that.
Johnson or Colton Hood here?
I honestly I'm happy with either guy. I
Yeah.
feel like Hood's probably a little bit.
Yeah.
a little bit bigger and solid, but Johnson's got that aggressiveness that would fit too with the Seahawks.
I just wrote down Hood, but if you're at home, just pick your flavor of corner.
Done.
Okay.
Okay.
So Caden McDonald, who we locked in the first half of the show,
Yep.
uh, does not get in here for us. Some guys that were on the bubble for us that did get in. Jamal McCoy, technically bubble, but probably should be a lock. TJ Parker, technically bubble, probably should be a lock. But Malachi Lawrence, Zion Young, Maxi Anachor, um, Avion Terrell, um, wide receiver that I had locked in that you had on the bubble. Cooper does not get into the first round. But I can tell you what, Jets there at 33. Now we wrote in here maybe they make that 16 to 12 trade, but they technically took McCoy when we did this. But if they didn't take a receiver, you could see Cooper going here to 33, and then
Hmm.
Cardinals can get Ty Simpson at 34.
Yeah, that could happen.
And then we're left with like a Chris Johnson falling out and going to who's at 35? The Titans. The Titans could take Johnson at 35 if we wanted to get crazy official with it. 36. The Raiders could take one of those guards that we like. And then that would be about it. That would be kind of everybody that we talked about. All
Yeah,
right,
it
so
would be.
one more time for the listeners at home. Raiders 1, Mendoza 2, Jets Bailey 3, Cardinals Reese 4, Titans Styles Giants 5, Love Brown 6, Fano 7, Commanders Bain 8, Saints Delane 9, Chiefs Maui Noah 10, Giants Hawane 11, Dolphins Downs 12, Cowboys Tate could be a swap with the Jets 16 for McCoy. Those same two
Yeah.
players we like at either spot. Um, Rams go Lemon at 13, Tyson Ravens 14. Bucks, Falk 15, Lions, Freeling 17, Vikings, Thieneman 18, Panthers, Woods 19, Cowboys 20, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Steelers 21, Lomu, Chargers, Torrell 22, Eagles 23, Sadiq, Browns 24, Concepcion, 25, Bears, Mesidor, Bills 26, Proctor, 7, 49ers, Parker, Texans, Blake Miller at 28, Chiefs, Malachi Lawrence at 29, Dolphins, Ian Achor 30, Patriots 31, Zion Young, 32, Seahawks, Hood, Jets at 33. The way we have it with them getting McCoy at 16, that would be Cooper, Cooper Jr., or
Yeah.
Denzel Boston. And
Right.
then,
Right.
pick our
Depending
flavor,
on,
pick your flavor.
yeah.
But if they did the swap and they got Tate at 12, then they could get Chris Johnson, who we also highlighted at
Right.
33. Cardinals, Ty Simpson 34, 35 Titans. I said they could take Chris Johnson, they could take Omar Cooper at 35
Right.
if Chris Johnson goes 33. So 33 or 35, plug in Chris Johnson or plug in Omar Cooper Jr. Um 36 Raiders, take one of those guards. Dang, man, we still don't have McDonald. Where are we putting McDonald? Who has 37? Who's picking
Give me one
37
second.
overall? Let me see.
Giants. Giants could use McDonald. Perfect.
They just traded Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
So we just gave you all the top 37 names that are happening. We gave you Thursday night round one. I'm gonna post that, Ben. Maybe I'll do my scribble scrabble handwriting also. Maybe I'll post that.
You should definitely
Um,
add the scribble scrabble handwriting. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The scribble scrabble of Simon Short.
Horrible, man. So bad. This is what I would do like in school too. Were you like this? Where like I would start all my things like really big and then I would run out of room and then I would just like put it under the lines and stuff. I'd get in so much trouble, man. My teachers hated that. All right, we just gave you the top 37 picks with some like maneuverability, right? Like some teams may trade up, some teams might trade down a
Yeah.
little bit, but in general, we gave you 37 selections with the 37 players going to 37, well, going to not even 32 teams because no Falcons, no Colts, no Jags. Who's the other one? There's a fourth team. Falcons, Jags, Colts.
I'll never pull it out. Sorry.
I mean, I
That's
wrote,
something I
oh,
have to look
Packers,
up.
Packers. I wrote mocks on all those teams. So those
Okay.
four teams. So 32 minus four, that's 28. Look at all these numbers I'm throwing at you, man. Hour 50 in, Ben. This is a Simon and Friends podcast right here, man. This is how we do it. Forget that first 40 minutes that's only on Box Score Network. This is where the real sickos live. Um, and you and I are going to talk again in like 24 hours. But anything else you want to say tonight before we get out of here?
Yeah, so one trend, that continues. And this does not surprise me. We only went with three wide receivers. Now, I don't actually think it's going to end
Yeah.
up at three, but there's a chance it could stop at four in the first round. Again, it just depends on what those teams think they need and what they think they can get later. And then the edgers really popped for me and you in this first round. We took eight of them. You know, you and I both took the under on that at 6 or 7, but here we took eight. You know, the rooms could very well be a split within an organization as you and I would be, just sitting here flash talking it, right?
Yep.
It's like, well, we couldn't agree on which wide receiver, so there was an edge sitting here that we all liked. We took him, you know?
Yep. Yeah, if the room is split on Boston versus Cooper, but everybody likes high on Young, then like let's
Yeah,
go. So that's a good call by you. That's a great way to tie this all in. So quarterback, we went under, and we went under in our mock, right? We said one. Running back, we went one. Wide receiver, we both said under. I still thought five would be taken. We only got to three or four, right? Concepcion was our fourth. He got in. Um, Tight end, we said one, only one went, not till 23. Offensive tackle, I said seven would go. You said six. We ended up getting all seven in with the
yeah, we
Dolphins,
did.
but that was at 30. That was really late. Awane, only one guard. That's what we did. Defensive tackle, only got one in. We said we'd get over the 1.5. We only got one. But edge, like you said, we got eight in. Um, so we ended up going the over. Did you take the over in the opening segment?
On the edges,
Yeah, did you
no,
also
I
say
took the
under?
under
Okay.
as well.
Okay. Linebacker one, corner, we ended up taking did we end up taking three or four? We got Hood in
We got
there.
four.
McCoy, yep, we got to four. Okay, so we ended up with the over, even though I said under, and then we got over on the safeties. So yeah, wide receivers, don't be surprised if even fewer than we think are gonna go. And we already think it's kind of gonna be on the low end. Edges, don't be surprised if that gets a little bit higher than we think, even though we set that over under as the
Right.
highest one of the night anyways. And then corner, don't let the questions scare you. Teams still need corners, so those guys could still go. And defense tackle, we had low. At the end of the day, we think Town's going to win out, but maybe the specificity, there we go, of McDonald being a sole plugger, two down player is going to keep him out of it. So we'll see what happens with that. But man, that was fun, Ben. That is how we do the over under preview. Wait, hang on, what's the really long drawn out name of this? That is how we do the 2026 NFL Draft first round over under preview show with Ben and Simon on the Simon and Friends podcast. Check out the Box Score Network YouTube channel. Check out all the reaction pods that are going to be over there and through all the pods individually. Be back next week for the Simon and Friends podcast where Peyton and I will do awards based on the draft. The following week, Josh is going to come in and we'll update our offseason rankings for the draft. And then the following week, I think Ben's going to be back and we'll think of some more dumb draft things to do. So that'll be fun. And then yeah, then we'll be fully in the summer, man. We'll talk some movies. We'll do some redrafts. We'll do all sorts of stuff over here and on Box Score. So make sure you are subscribed and taking a look. If you made it this far in draft related show, the day of the draft or after the draft, because you're a real sicko, and I really appreciate you. You'll want to stick around for the rest of the summer because this will be for you. Until next time, thank you all so much. Thank you, Ben, for all of your hard work all draft season. But we're not done yet. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Have fun and be safe out there.